My friends trapped me in another prison with a challenge to break out of it. But the issue was, this one looked impossible. It's completely built of bedrock using cheats and only has one exit. My friends decided to give me a one-word clue though. TNT. Would I be able to escape or would I be stuck here forever? Let's find out. I began by looking around the starting room. It was a bedrock box with two main platforms. It was clear I somehow needed to get from the platform I was standing on onto the opposite one. But the main issue was that the jump from here to the glowstone was definitely too big. I began by looking around for clues, but nothing was initially obvious. I needed a way to get across the bridge. I checked the chest in the brewing stand and had all the greens I needed for an awkward potion, but nothing to turn it into something useful like speed. So I continued to look around until I noticed a rabbit's foot way above me. I broke the chest and soul sand to be able to reach the item frame, but it was no use. But then I realized the chest block is actually 1 pixel smaller than the soul sand. So I switched the placement and I was just about able to reach it. Initially the rabbit's foot seemed useless, but after some further thought, I remembered that a rabbit's foot could actually be used for a potion recipe. Can you think about what it is? That's right, leaping. This could be used to make me jump super high. The next issue was that I didn't have any water for my potion, but it didn't take me too long to spot the hidden water source below my platform, being held with chains. With my potion now brewing, it was time to head over to the other platform with my blocks. After looking at the jump ahead, the jump looked too far for just leaping, so I made a difficult decision to break the glowstone and use it to turn my leaping into leaping 2. This could have turned out to be a massive mistake, but there was only one way to find out. After finishing brewing my potion, I took a long run up and made the jump, and just about made it. On the next platform, I was left with an even bigger puzzle. There was a drop chute down to a bedrock platform with a 1 stone block, but it seemed obvious to me that I needed to go down there and mine the stone to the next level. But the fall looked deadly. Fortunately, when the sides had a bedrock crying obsidian alternating pattern all the way down, which I used to count the amount of blocks I'd fall. And sure enough, it added up exactly to 23, which was the perfect amount to die 4 damage. There was also a suspicious cow pit with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cows and a horse. Slightly confused, I had to look around the pit to see if there was something, when I suddenly fell. This wasn't good. There was no ladder out and there was no exit. That's when I spotted the crafting table on the wall. So I started to kill the cows because I had a plan. So you see, you can kill these cows and craft leather boots using the crafting table. And I would just be able to survive the fall. So after killing the cows, I was left with 4 leather, just perfect for boots. I then had to figure out how to get out of the box and decided that going onto the horse and jumping out was my best bet. And sure enough, it worked. Then I went to craft my boots, but I just couldn't reach the table. I tried and tried and tried again, but it was just too far. Was I missing something? Was there another hidden clue? That's when I realized this wasn't going to work. After doing some research, I found that using armor doesn't actually reduce fall damage. Only enchants like a protection and fall damage do. Even if I made nether boots, I'd still die. But then it hit me. The answer was a sad one. I'd used the horse as a sacrifice to take the fall damage. So that's exactly what I did. I took a breath and jumped down on my horse. And sure enough, we both lived. After breaking the stone block, I jumped down into the water source and was on the ground floor. Of course, in the back of my mind, I was still wondering and worried when the TNT clue my friends gave me would come into action. I was then met with another room. This time, it was some chain armor parkour over lava. Now, chain armor is some of the hardest parkour because of how small the chains are to actually land on. If I missed one of the jumps, I'd fall into the lava and be humiliated. Every step depended on if I'd make it, but eventually I was almost at the end, and then I realized the last chain I needed was missing. I must have missed something, so now I had to head back and research the previous rooms, doubling the chance of me falling into lava and dying. Fortunately, I made it past all the jumps and now decided to explore the bottom of the first 2 rooms. My friends wouldn't have left such a large unempty space unless I had a reason, so I started by exploring the corners. After a few seconds of aimlessly moving around, I finally found it. There was a chest hidden below with a chain in it. I could use this to finish the parkour and make it to the next room. So once again, I had to complete the parkour without messing up. Fortunately, over the last few months, I've had a lot of practice because of my friends, so there was no issues. So with this last time, I placed it and now could go to the next challenge. Initially, I was met with a deep drop with no obvious way downs, but in the opposite room, I could see an iron golem with a pretty simple jump across. I carefully made my way across and searched this bedrock box. I quickly came across another hidden chest. This time, it had a netherite sword enchanted with sharpness 5. It became awfully obvious what I had to do. I clearly had to kill the iron golem and get its iron. I wasn't sure what for, but it had to be done. It wasn't going to be easy. An iron golem can do anywhere between 3 and 10 hearts of damage, meaning I could potentially be killed with 1 hit with no armor. So I waited until he was in the opposite corner and started swiping. I got a solid 3 hits off and was taken down to 2.5 hearts myself. But just before he managed to kill me, I got across to the other side of the drop and managed to kill him without the iron falling down. Now I had to just figure out what to do with the iron. When exploring the previous rooms again looking for a clue, I noticed the water which blocked my fall. Then it came to me. I crafted iron into a bucket and MLG water down. But the only issue is now how to craft the bucket. When looking at the water, I got a glimpse of a suspicious looking block. And after further investigation, I realized it was indeed a wood log that I would need to craft a crafting table. With my water bucket arms in my hand, I once again completed the parkour for the 4th time and jumped down the pit below, successfully landing the jump. Surely this is when I'd find out about the TNT clue from the start, right? And of course, in this new room, while the walls may look familiar, the puzzle would be completely different. After further inspection, all I had to play with was a furnace and an ice block. Underneath the ice block, there was a secret passageway which likely led to the next room. So it was clear, I needed to melt the ice. I couldn't move the furnace and use that to smelt it, as I didn't have a pickaxe to mine it. So instead I needed a light source to melt it, which meant there must be a hidden chest. After spending a few minutes looking around, it was painfully obvious. And after a few helpless attempts later at trying to access it, a simple run and jump did the job. So now I was left with 2 logs and different types. I knew how to make a light source, and only one came to mind, a torch. But to get a torch, I needed coal, but I didn't have any. And then I had my eureka moment. A stick and coal isn't the only way to craft a torch. In fact, you can also craft a torch using charcoal. So what I needed to do was turn my logs into planks and use half the planks to get sticks and the other half to smelt the log into charcoal. I could then use the charcoal to make a torch. So I quickly ran over to the ice and placed my torch down and prayed. And surely enough, it melted, allowing me to swim to the next room. This time it was a spherical room, a nice break from all the flat walls, but slightly more annoying as there was more shadows, which makes it harder to spot hidden things. From what I could notice, there was 2 droppers in the roof, a bamboo plant with a dirt block, and a crying obsidian arrow pointing down, which I'm sure I needed to use later on. So of course I broke the bamboo, knowing I definitely need that for later. When inspecting the arrow, I noticed a hole in the roof, and in the background I had a target block. I needed a bow and arrow to hit it though, and I definitely didn't have one right now. Maybe that's what the droppers were for though. I tried to tarot out the sphere using some blocks I had, but it was no use. And besides, I doubt my friends would leave a way to escape if I got outside the main room anyway, because there was only one exit after all. After longer than I'd like to admit, I finally found a breakthrough in the room. Like I said earlier, buttons would be super easy to hide in this room, especially the dark ones like this blackstone one on the roof. After placing down my dirt and my 5 bamboo, I was able to reach the button and mine it. Now it's up to me to decide where it needed to go, but that part wasn't too difficult. Somewhere around this arrow, and you bet I was correct. After pressing the button, the 2 droppers activated and dropped exactly what I suspected. A bow and 1 singular arrow. That means I had 1 shot at hitting this target, and it wasn't going to be easy. I knew I had to aim high enough to allow the arrow to curve down, but not too high to overshoot it. So I picked a place to aim, drew my bow, and took fire. And you guessed it, I never miss. After hitting the target, promptly after a hole was opened below me, leading to a suspicious looking tunnel. I slowly made my way until the exit was spotted. I couldn't believe it, but my heart sank when I heard a pressure plate go, with a quickly followed hiss. I ran for my life, but no small amount of TNT was enough to stop me. Subscribe if you want to see more of these puzzles.